you guys hear me? Right, great. So let's continue. Yesterday, I introduced myself. I am Marilet Geldenhuys. You can call me Mrs. Geldenhuys or Mrs. G or whatever you can pronounce, really. All right, guys, I want you to stop chatting. We can chat in a little while again. If there's time at the end of the class, you can ask me all kinds of questions if you want. But let's quickly look at the screen and continue with our lessons. Right, so what did we do yesterday? Firstly, we looked at 3D shapes. We looked at the differences and similarities. We looked at the number of faces, the number of edges, the number of vertices. Oh, I see I have faces twice there. But it's very important to know how many faces your 3D shapes have, because as we go into the next section of this topic, you will see if we're looking at the nets and whatever, you need to know how many faces and what the shapes of the faces are. Right. So just a peek at what we'll do today. We will look at each individual 3D shape again. I know some of you understand it really well, but I saw yesterday that there are a few of you who still gave the incorrect answers. So I want to make sure that everybody knows what we're doing, that everybody's on the same page. And we can only do that if we make sure that you guys understand it, because it's easy to memorize something and just know off the top of your head how many faces, how many edges. But if you have when you go further in math, you'll have to understand why do I say this is how many edges. You have to be able to identify the edge or to count them. You have to be able to fold the shape open so that you can see the net, and your mind actually has to think in a three-dimensional way. That's why we're taking our time, because this is the foundation for a lot of things that is yet to come for you guys. All right, so I really want you to understand the shapes, and we will quickly then at the end play a sorting game. But first, let's finish the slides that we didn't get to yesterday. Remember yesterday we kind of stopped midway through because we couldn't finish everything. I want you to turn off your cameras, please. Remember, don't join with your camera. It's not safe. Right, so look at the screen. Which shape has the most surfaces? So now you can answer. You can just say the name of the shape with the most surfaces. Let me see if all of you have the correct answer. You can type out your answer. Praise and Bouchle already answered. I see all of you now gave the answer. All of you said cylinder. That is correct. How many surfaces or faces does a cylinder have? Some of you say 3, some of you say 2. We can count it together. See here at the top, we have 1, and at the bottom, the side that it's standing on, that's also 1, and then the middle part connecting everything, that is 1. So not 2, but 3. There we go. Guys, I'm having a bit of trouble with my PowerPoint now. Let me just quickly try and figure this out. There we go. How many faces do these two shapes have in total? Wow, so many answers, you guys. I want to ask everybody to just answer once, please. If you don't see your answer immediately, it will go through. But if you type 3 a million times, then I can't see anybody else's answers. And if you keep doing that, the host will remove you from the chat. Right, so look at these two shapes. How many faces do these shapes have in total? So now you have to know how many a cone has and how many a cylinder has in total. I haven't seen a correct answer. Oh, yes. Ethan, I think you're the first one to give me the correct answer. And then Neo. There you go. The answer is 5. So let's count it out. We have the cone, the circle. If we look at the cone, we have the circle at the bottom and then the top part. And when we look at the cylinder, there's a circle at the top and at the bottom, and then the curved rectangle in the middle. Let's go to the next slide. Which shape has the most edges? Which shape has the most edges? Which shape has the most edges? Come, I want to see who's quick. No answers yet. You can't just say the first one, the last one. I want the name because it's important that you guys know the names of these shapes. Ethan said the triangular prism. Let's see what the rest of you say. All right, I'm going to reveal the answer. It's a little slow. Yes, the triangular prism. So how many edges? We said an edge is where the two sides meet, where the two faces meet, the line. So if we count it, who can tell me how many edges a triangular prism has? Someone says 7, someone says 9. Who's right? Whew, so many different answers. I have 7, 9, 7, 5, 9. Right, those of you who said 9, you are correct because we have the edges here on this side with this triangle. That's 3 of them. And at the back, 3 more. And then the 3 edges connecting those two triangles. So it's 9 in total. Neo, please give your answer only once. Otherwise, I will ask the host to remove you from the chat or to remove you from this lesson, and then you can never return. So we don't want to do that, guys. So please, just to be fair to everyone, follow the rules, type when I ask you to type, and answer the questions. Keep the chat a little bit shorter so that I can see everybody else's answers. Thank you very much. Right, the next slide. How many more faces does a cube have than a square-based pyramid? So this looks like a quick question that you can answer quickly, but if you don't know how many a cube has and how many a square-based pyramid has, then you first have to go count and then you have to subtract. So how many more faces does a cube have than a square-based pyramid? I see some people say 1, some say 2, 6, 1, 2. All right, let me see who is correct. Only 1. Because a cube has 6 faces. We spoke about it yesterday. Just think about dice or think about an ice cube. There are 6 different sides, 6 different faces, and a square-based pyramid We have the square at the bottom and then 3 triangles. So that's 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. Which shape has the least amount of faces? So if you know this work very well, you'll know these two at the end have the same amount. So you just have to decide which one has the least. Lunaka said the last one. Guys, to practice your math, just name the shapes. Don't just say the first one, the middle one, or the last one. I want to see the names of the shapes. Because if I'm talking about a rectangular prism, I want you to see it in your mind. So you have to know exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. All the answers coming in right now. Those of you who said triangular based pyramid, you are correct. So you know that the cube and the rectangular prism have exactly the same amount of faces, which is 6, but the triangular based prism only has 4 faces. All right, which shape is the odd one out and why? Remember, there's not always just one answer. There can be more than one answer if you can explain why. So let me see which one you say does not belong here and why. You have to give me a reason. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on in your head. If you said sphere, I want to know why. In these kinds of questions, it's all about your reason. Ethan said sphere has no flat surface. That's great. I want one, only one of them. So if you have 2 with the same reason, find another reason. Zara said because it has only one face. That's also a good answer. Amanda said the triangular base pyramid because it's straight. You can say because it's the only one without a curved surface. But that is probably what you meant, right? Right, so let's see what my answer is. But remember, you can have a different answer. This PowerPoint is really slow today. So the triangular prism, it's the only shape without a curved surface. So quickly look at all these. You'll see the sphere has a curved surface, the cone has a curved surface, and the cylinder has a curved surface. So if I'm looking at curved and flat surfaces, I will say the triangular prism does not belong. But you could have also said the sphere because it has no flat surface. The cylinder has a flat surface, triangular prism has a flat surface, and a cone has a flat surface. Anything that you can explain why. Your teacher has to look at that and decide, is this a good reason? Because you know, there are many times we get questions with more than one correct answer, but we need to know what's going on in your head. Why are you saying something, or are you just picking a random shape because you don't know the answer? Right, which shape has the least amount of faces? This one's easy. So I want everybody to quickly answer as quickly as possible. Which one has the least amount of faces? There we see Praise, Ethan, you already have the answer. Kia, Lunako, great, you guys. The answer is a sphere. And the sphere, it doesn't even have a flat surface, it only has a curved surface. Which shape has the least amount of edges? So quickly type that one out. All of you guys said cone. Amanda, Ethan. I don't know how to pronounce all your names. Maybe we should have a session where you teach me how to say your names. Right, you guys are correct. A cone only has one edge. It's right here where the circle meets this part. If you look at the cylinder, we'll have an edge at the top and an edge at the bottom. And then obviously a cube has a lot of edges. Which shape has the least amount of faces? Remember, a face is the side, each side, the shape, like a rectangle, triangle. How many? So you have to decide how many faces each shape has and tell me which one has the least amount of faces. We have our first answer. Ethan said it's the triangular-based pyramid. Is he right or wrong? Kia agrees with him. And so does Tafka. And Faith. Great. So let's reveal the answer and see if they are correct. The triangular-based pyramid is correct because it only has 4 faces. The triangle at the bottom and then the 3 triangles on the sides. So quickly, this one. This shape has 2 surfaces, true or false? I'm going to wait for about 10 answers to come through and then I'm going to reveal the answer. I want all of those 10 to be right, to be correct. The shape has 2 surfaces, true or false? Whew, I see different answers. Most of you agree that the answer is true. Those of you who said false, if you are thinking, oh, okay, the one is curved, then you have to just explain the shape has 1 flat surface and 1 curved surface, but it still has 2 surfaces if we count the curved surfaces. How many faces does this shape have? How many faces? Amanda says 1 face. Neo says 0. Now, I have seen textbooks that say this shape has 0 faces because there's no flat shape or surface. There's no 2-dimensional shape in a sphere. We cannot open it up like we can with a rectangular prism or triangular prism or a cube. So depending on what your teacher says, but most of the textbooks, most of the teachers agree that that the answer that they will accept is 1 face, a curved face. Depending on your definition of a face, right? Right, so now we've come to the second part of our lesson. I want you to visualize the shapes, and I want you to be able to deal with the shapes on your own without someone else helping you and without a textbook in front of you. So I want all of you to get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. You can even get an eraser if you make a lot of mistakes. So quickly go grab something to write on and to write with. I'm going to continue slowly, but I hope you do have a pencil and a piece of paper because this will make it so much easier for you guys. We're going to look at each shape and we're going to indicate, because these shapes are transparent. So it's easier to see the back. It's easier to see all the edges and all the faces. So I think this will help you visualize the shapes better. So if we look at the faces here, we can actually see all of them. None of them are hidden. So we can count. The top one, that's 1. The bottom one, that's 2. The side here, and then the front and the back. So how many faces does a cube have? You've told me, but just tell me again. 5? No, not 5. Zara, only type your answer once, please. Amanda and Naledi, you guys are the first ones to reveal the correct answer. That is 6. And what are the shapes of the faces? Are they all the same? Are they different? Amanda, you are quick. There are 6 squares. So you can tell me how many also if you know. 6 squares. Right. So look at the screen quickly. If you have your pencil and paper ready, quickly draw this shape in front of you that you see here. Just draw it on your piece of paper. You can easily see now where to draw the lines. I want you to draw the lines quickly. So those lines that you've just drawn, those are the edges. I'm going to show you with red lines. Can you see that? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So those of you who've had trouble to visualize the 3 dimensions, this will make it a lot easier. Right, so amount of edges, that's 12. I hope you drew it in front of you on your piece of paper, and then the amount of vertices or vertices I'm going to indicate. I'm just going to make a circle around all the corners. Remember we said a vertex is a corner. So you can do the same thing on your piece of paper. Let's just circle all the vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you don't know, you can always draw the shape and indicate it like that. Let's go to the next one. This one I'm going to do a bit quicker because we know a rectangular prism is almost the same as a cube. A cube is a kind of rectangular prism where all the sides are the same. All the sides are squares. Some of you call this a cuboid. Both are correct. Don't worry about that. And the important thing to remember that all of those things are rectangular prisms. If they have opposite equal sides and lengths and 90-degree angles, you know all those things, then they are rectangular prisms. But if all the sides are the same, exactly the same, then it's a cube. Right, amount of faces, quickly. You can count them. 6, some of you said 8, some of you said 4. Remember, it's still the same as a cube. So it's a top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. The shape of the faces. Remember, if your teacher or if the question paper doesn't say that something is a square or exactly the same length or same sides, then don't assume that. I didn't say anything. So that's a hint when you type out the shape of the faces. I didn't say that any of the sides are equal in length. So how many of what? Some of you say squares. Some say rectangles. Which is it? Squares or rectangles? Someone said 2 squares and 2 rectangles. But we have 6 faces. Amanda said 2 squares and 4 rectangles. Look at my answer. 6 rectangles. So those of you who said squares, you do get rectangular prisms with squares on the side, but I didn't state that it is. So it can be squares, but because I didn't say so, you cannot assume that. These are all rectangles. And as a matter of fact, if you go measure them, you will see that they are not squares. So they are all rectangles, guys. Don't assume that something is a square just because your example had a square in it. Right, let's go to the edges. We'll quickly count them out with the red lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Who said 8 edges? Remember, you can, as we go through this lesson, just draw it with me. Draw it out with me. There we go. It's 12 edges. Amount of vertices. So if you have your picture in front of you, if you don't, just look at the screen. You'll see we'll circle them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Guys, are you getting confused between vertices and edges? Remember, the edge is indicated with the red line here. It's always a line between two of the faces. And the vertices, those are the corners. I see some of you are getting confused. Right, so I think those of you who are getting confused, keep doing this exercise by yourself and ask yourself how many edges. And if you think of edge, just think of you standing somewhere on the edge of maybe the sidewalk. It makes that line, right? So that's an edge. And a vertex is like a corner. So every time when there's a sharper point, that will be a corner where 3 of the lines meet or more when we're talking about 3D shapes. So the amount of vertices are 8. Let's go to the next one. Triangular prism. Amount of faces. Let's count together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see all of them because I gave you a nice transparent image. That's correct. We have 5 faces. And the shapes of the faces, now I want to see you say this many of this shape and this many of this shape. Let's see who knows. How many of what? We already said we have 5 faces. So their praise says 2 triangles and Faith also says 2 triangles. And then Zara said 2 triangles and 3 squares. That is correct. No, not squares, sorry, rectangles. Remember, look at the shape because it has a longer side and a shorter side. They are not squares, they are rectangles. They could be squares, but then it has to state so on your paper, or your teacher has to say these 2 sides are the same, exactly the same. But if you even just look at this picture, you can see we have 1 long side and 1 short side. So it's 3 rectangles and 2 triangles. Amount of edges, let's count them out. So there's the first one at the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So the amount of edges, 9. And then amount of vertices. I hope you have your shapes in front of you. Quickly circle all the vertices, all the corners. What do you get? Or just look at my picture. Just see where I can put the little black circles. I see the chat is a little bit behind. There, the answers are starting to come in now. Those of you who said something other than 6, you need to quickly look at the screen. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Remember, these images are really easy to do, but you won't always get a transparent image like this. Then you have to know what's going on at the back. Let's go to the next slide. A square-based pyramid. So let's count. Let's count the amount of faces. So see what you see. There are 2 maybe that you won't be able to distinguish from the front. How many faces does a square-based pyramid have? There I have the first answers. Very good, Oratile. I don't know how to say your name. I'm hoping I'm doing it correctly. So we have 5 faces. And what are the shapes of the faces? You have to tell me how many of each. Shapes of the faces. I'm waiting to see some shapes. Remember, the chat is a little slow, so I'm just going on what I see first here on my side. Maybe you don't see the same thing. Kia said 4 triangles in 1 square. Let's check if that is correct. If you don't have that answer, it's time to quickly look. 1 square and 4 triangles. Remember, here at the back, there are 2 triangles. Amount of edges. So on your picture in front of you, I hope you quickly drew it out in front of you. If you follow the lines, how many lines do you have? Those are the edges. How many edges? I'm going to count it out with the red lines for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put an orange line in there, and 7 and 8. So those of you who have 8, you are correct. Amount of vertices, quickly circle all the corners, all the vertices. How many vertices do we have? Some say 5. Oh, I think all of you said 5 except for 1. Someone says 6. Let's check on the screen. 1, 2, 3. Amount of faces. Now remember, unlike the previous slide, there's no line at the back because there's only a triangle at the bottom, at the base. There's no extra 6. So we have 6 edges. And how many vertices? Take your pencil and make a circle. If you have the shape in front of you, circle all the corners, all the vertices. Someone said 4, someone said 5. Which is it? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Great. Those of you who said 5, maybe you are thinking of the square-based pyramid. But remember, you only have your 3 corners at the bottom and your 1 at the top. That is 4. Zara, please stop writing your answer a million times. Right, let's quickly look at the cone. We are also running out of time. This one's easy, so I'm going to go through it quickly. How many faces does a cone have? Yes, the first one to say 2 was Naledi. Very good. What's the shape of the faces? So we'll have one of a certain shape and then one of something else. We have, so those of you who said circle, you can write 1 circle and then 1 curved surface, because that shape at the top is not a shape that we actually know yet. So we can just say it's a curved surface and a circle. Right, I see, Praise, you've got it like that. Well done. How many edges are there? Just a quick answer. How many edges? Someone said 0. Look carefully. Remember, an edge is where the 2 faces meet. How many edges do we have? Now, Lady, you are the first one to give the correct answer. Look there at the bottom. That is a circular edge, a round edge. There's only 1. And then how many vertices? So how many corners are there on a cone? Great, guys. The answer is also 1. I hope you are drawing this out as we go along, because this will really help you. And even as you do your homework or as you try to understand it, just do this. Draw it out, follow the lines, see if you can circle the lines or draw the lines in. Let's look at the cylinder. So how many faces does a cylinder have? 3. Yes, I'm going to go quickly as soon as I see the correct answer. What is the shape of the faces? Who can tell me? The shape of the faces? 2 of something and 1 of something. Nelza, you said circle. So how many circles? There we go. Praise said 2 circles and 1 curved. You can say curved, but if you actually cut open a Pringles bottle, you'll see it's a rectangle, but it's a curved rectangle. So whether you said curved or rectangle, just find out from your teacher which answer she prefers. Maybe he or she prefers curved rectangle. Right, amount of edges. Let's count the edges. Remember, an edge is where the sides meet in that line. How many edges? Nalza said edges 3. Is that right? Rihile, I don't know how to say that. You said 2. That's actually the first correct answer. 1 and 2. So we have at the top where the circle meets the curved surface, and at the bottom. Perfect. And then 0 vertices, no corners. The last one that we will look at today before we have to finish. I see we are not getting through our lessons, guys. The amount of faces. This one's easy. Let's just go really, really quickly. 1 face. What's the shape of the face? See, this is where it gets tricky because, yeah, a face cannot be sphere shaped because the sphere is a 3-dimensional shape. I want the 2-dimensional shape of the face. So we have to say, oh, I see there's a mistake. Someone picked it up. It says cylinder at the top. It should say sphere. Thank you very much. And then, so the shape of the face, we can just say 1 curved, because if I look at it, if I make it flat, it will not be a circle anymore, as I told you guys yesterday. And then the amount of edges, there's no face that meets. If you just have 1 face, that means you can't have 2 faces meeting. So that means there will be no edges. Remember, we have an edge between 2 faces. And then the same goes for this one. If you only have 1 face, how can you have a vertex? So what's the amount of vertices? That's also 0. So guys, I am so sorry we are not going to finish our lesson today. I'm going to quickly go through it, and we will do all these fun games tomorrow, because today we just reviewed, and tomorrow we will do these games. You will really enjoy them. Let's go to the end of the slideshow. Right, your homework. I want you guys to see how many of these 3D shapes you can find around your house. So if it's a bottle or a Pringles container or toilet roll or something circular, maybe an orange, or a tablet. What shape is a tablet? What do you think? So all these things, a tablet will be a very thin rectangular prism. So see how many of these things you can list according to their kind. Tell me cone and then list all the cones, and rectangular prisms and list them. Cubes, list them. Spheres, list them. All right. And you can build them, or anything that you can do to visualize these shapes will help you in the exams. A helpful link is twinkle.co.za. And then tomorrow we will quickly play the games that we didn't get to today, and we will look at the net of shapes. Please send your homework to me. Look on the screen. There's my email address, marilette2007@yahoo.co.uk. Guys, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your classes. And then I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Bye-bye.